Heartwarming journey, how one incredible single dad exposed a cold billionaire's life-changing lessons in the heart of Riverton. Matt, a 38-year-old single father, drove down the cracked streets of his once vibrant town. The pickup rattled, just like his hopes. Life had not been kind, every day was a struggle. With 2 kids, Emily and Jake, to take care of, the weight of mounting bills pressed down on him like a heavy steel beam. His dreams, once bright and colorful, now felt dim and out of reach. He remembered the time he thought he'd make a comfortable life working as a mechanic, providing for his family while laughing over dinner. But laughter had turned to worry, and each tick of the clock reminded him of the relentless economic decline that had beset Riverton. Suddenly, a newcomer stirred the community, Ethan, a billionaire fresh from the big city. With shiny cars and grand ideas, he swaggered into town, his presence radiating a mix of ambition and aloofness. Whispers filled local cafes and grocery stores. The townsfolk resented his wealth, seeing it as a stark reminder of what they'd lost. Matt often gripped the steering wheel harder, feeling the tension in the air, catching snippets of conversations about the rich outsider. It was a life Matt had long been distant from, a world of glitter that felt impossible to reach. One stormy night, as rain lashed against the windows, a tornado struck. Matt's heart raced as he grabbed his kids and huddled in the basement. The wind howled like a wild beast, tearing through Riverton and leaving chaos in its wake. When the skies cleared, he emerged to devastation. Homes laid in ruin, including his own. As the community stood stunned, Matt's instincts kicked in. He rallied his neighbors, and they started a relief effort. They moved debris together, helped protect each other as homes, and shared what little supplies they had left. It was raw, it was real, and it was a striking display of human resilience. But amid the solidarity, Matt sensed Ethan lurking, watching with calculating eyes, seeing a chance to profit from tragedy. "Listen up," Matt called during an impromptu meeting, determined to lift spirits. "We can rebuild together. We're stronger as one." The words struck chords, but Ethan's presence shadowed the moment. The billionaire stood distanced, a storm brewing in his own right. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Tension thickened when Matt learned Ethan's son had been caught in the storm. Panic washed over him as he remembered his own children, clinging to life and each other amidst fear. Matt felt a surge of empathy bubble up. Maybe the billionaire was more than brute wealth, perhaps he was just a man, grappling with personal demons of his own. As they both navigated the wreckage, anger, guilt, and the flickers of hope intertwined. Would Matt find a way to bridge the divide? Could they transform their animosity into something meaningful? The storm had brought them to this moment, a test of their strength and humanity. The question hung in the air like the scent of rain-soaked earth: could 2 vastly different worlds converge around love for family and community? The journey was just beginning. Matt took a deep breath, trying to push his emotions aside as he surveyed the debris littering their town. The fear from that storm lingered in the air, thick and palpable. He glanced at his kids, still holding onto each other in the aftermath of chaos. Their faces were smudged with dirt, yet there was a spark of resilience in Emily's eyes. She was brave, much like her brother who still looked up to her even at the tender age of 8. "Let's find out how everyone else is doing," Matt said gently, gathering his strength for the day ahead. As he led his children through the streets, they passed neighbors, each with their own battle scars from the storm. The sight of people working together soothed him. A quiet sense of unity was rising from the ashes of despair. Ethan stood at the edge of a particularly battered house, his suit slightly damp but his expression unreadable. Matt's heart raced. His initial resentment began to shift into something else, curiosity. Why was Ethan here? Then, he remembered the headlines about his wealth, the business savant who thrived on calculated risks. As if sensing Matt's gaze, Ethan turned. Their eyes met a moment charged with both mistrust and a glimmer of understanding. "Your kids," Ethan began, his voice low. "Were they caught up in the storm?" Matt's protective instincts kicked in. "They were scared, but they're okay." "Thanks to them," he replied, gesturing to Emily and Jake. Ethan looked down, absorbing Matt's words. "That's good." Silence settled between them. An unlikely bond, perhaps formed in shared fear. "Let us work together," Matt said suddenly, surprising even himself. The thought of uniting against the challenges ahead filled him with a newfound determination. "You know people in high places. Your connections could help us rebuild faster." Ethan seemed taken aback, yet intrigued. "I can organize resources, but I'll need your community's trust," he stated as he ran a hand through his hair, contemplating the proposal. Matt nodded. "That trust is earned, not given. We'll need transparency." At that moment, Matt felt the flickers of hope igniting within. If they could align their two worlds, it could transform Riverton. Still, doubts crept in. Could he truly trust Ethan? The memory of bitterness surfaced, but he pushed it aside. A low rumble interrupted their conversation. An old pickup truck, rusting but reliable, pulled up beside them. It was Roberto, their neighbor and a seasoned carpenter. "What's this, a planning meeting?" he called cheerfully. Matt chuckled, relieved for the distraction. "More like a warning. We're going to need all hands on deck." The three shared an understanding grin, a hint of camaraderie forming. As the day stretched on, more townsfolk gathered, sharing stories of loss and determination, including those that involved exciting plans to rebuild their homes. Each round of shared laughter mingled with tears, binding them more tightly. Ethan stood at the periphery, taking in the atmosphere, the energy shifting. Would he step into this tight-knit circle? Matt kept catching glimpses of him, willing to show the billionaire a piece of their world. Together, as the sun began to set, casting golden rays glimmering in the ashes, a joint task was laid before them, to rise from their wreckage, together. But deep down, Matt wondered, would Ethan choose to stay and truly fight for Riverton, or would the allure of the city call him back? Matt steeled himself for what lay ahead. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the fractured landscape of Riverton. The evening air buzzed with whispered hopes and plans, the tight-knit community filling in around him like a puzzle, piece by piece. Yet, Ethan loomed larger than life, an outsider navigating the intimate world gazing up to him expectantly. Roberto clapped a hand on Matt's shoulder. "You're doing good, my friend. A lot of people are counting on this." The carpenter's voice was steady, but Matt could hear the hint of worry beneath it. Trust was fragile, built with every nail and board they hammered together. He needed all the support he could get if they were to rise above the wreckage. Matt turned to Ethan, who was still contemplating, immersed in the scene before him. "You really do need to be a part of this," Matt encouraged, sincerity spilling over. "People here, they need to feel you're on their side. Your help could be invaluable, but it starts with you stepping into our lives." Ethan shifted his weight, uncertainty flickering across his face. "I've never been a part of anything like this before," he admitted. "It's not just about resources, it's about emotions, connections. I'm not sure I know how." "Start small," Matt offered. "Just be here. Help us with the cleanup, listen to the stories. That's how you earn trust. Trust is the foundation of everything." After a long pause, Ethan squared his shoulders and drew a breath. "All right. I'm in. Show me how I can help." Relief swept over Matt. With Ethan on board, they could start rebuilding more than just homes. Perhaps they could rebuild bonds that extended beyond the storm's wreckage. Each voice, each personal story, added a thread to the tapestry of their community. As twilight descended, the group gelled together, exchanging ideas, concerns, and laughter. Matt watched as Ethan interacted with his neighbors, his worn suit seemingly less out of place among the hard-working hands that shaped their town's future. Matt felt warmth grow in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, Riverton was healing, not just through rebuilding homes but through the communal spirit flourishing against the odds. Emily and Jake darted around, their faces shining with purpose, raking debris and carrying sticks to the pile. Nearby, Matt spotted Roberto teaching them how to identify useful wood scraps. Laughter bubbled among the children and adults, sunlight dwindling yet illuminating their spirits. Ethan knelt beside them, trying to reshape broken pieces of wood into something useful. "You know, I may know a few architectural tricks. I could help make this fire pit a bit more robust," he suggested, his enthusiasm genuine, even as it emerged in a hesitant smile. The children paused, glancing at their father for approval. Matt grinned, seeing the spark of camaraderie grow. "Go for it, Ethan. Lead the way." The night deepened, laughter mingled with the fresh scent of cedar and pine, but in the back of Matt's mind, the concern lingered. Would this unity last? Or would the shadows of doubt return when the sun rose again? As he watched Ethan and his children work closely, an unexpected knot formed in Matt's stomach. The balance of this emerging partnership teetered precariously, where light met shadows. Could Ethan become more than just an ally? And what about the vulnerability that came with forging a bond with someone whose world was filled with board meetings and numbers, light years away from the simple yet scarred existence of Riverton? Matt couldn't shake the feeling that a more profound revelation was on the horizon. He just had to be ready for the truth when it came calling. The laughter hung in the air like a promise, vibrant and alive. Matt found himself drawn into the moment, the joy reverberating through the group as they returned to their task. Ethan had transformed, at least a little. Just an hour before, he was a stranger, now he blended into the fabric of their small community. The way he interacted with the kids, explaining what he envisioned for the fire pit, seemed less like a novelty and more like a connection. As Emily tugged at Ethan's sleeve, her eyes wide with curiosity, he knelt down, sketching out something in the dirt with a stick. Jake watched intently, the wonder of childhood sewing both boys tighter together in this unexpected collaboration. It was a sight that stirred something deep in Matt's heart, a flicker of hope that they could help this wealthy outsider find purpose amidst their shared struggle. Yet, as the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, a different tension crept in. The worries that had been lurking at the corners of Matt's mind returned. Was Ethan merely putting on a show to gain favor? Would he truly commit to Riverton or retreat back into his world of faceless business deals the moment the situation became hard? Roberto cleared his throat, breaking the momentary silence. "Let us make this pit strong enough for the stories we'll tell around it," he said, directing their focus. The fire pit felt like a metaphor for the community itself, a gathering point, a symbol of resilience meant to withstand the winds of change. With the evening settling in, the group's work took on a rhythm, the sounds of scraping wood and laughter filling the air. Each scrap of timber seemed to carry the weight of their stories, their struggles, hopes entwined with a heartwarming resilience. As Matt picked up pieces, he noticed Ethan's thoughtful expression, a sharp contrast to his earlier uncertainty. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said, his voice low, almost hesitant. "Sure," Matt replied, curious. "What makes this place special?" The question hung between them like a thread waiting to be woven into a larger tapestry. Matt paused, considering. "It's the people. The community. We're not just neighbors, we're family. Each person has a role, a story that feels like it matters in a bigger way." Ethan nodded, the weight of those words sinking in. "I've built places for people to live, but I've never, really built anything that meant something." Matt's heart swelled with empathy as he realized how isolated Ethan must feel despite his success. "You're starting now. This is where it begins," he encouraged, offering a smile. Just as they began to piece together the structure of the fire pit, Emily ran over, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Look! I found this." In her hands, she held a small, perfectly shaped stone, smooth and dark. The children gathered around, all lighting up their faces. "That's beautiful!" Ethan exclaimed, kneeling to examine it closely. He seemed genuinely captivated, and for a moment, the weight of his past faded away. While they admired the stone, Matt's phone buzzed in his pocket. Ignoring it at first, he felt a nagging pull to check. The screen lit up with an alert, a message from his brother, something about a family issue back home. Tension immediately knotted his chest. He couldn't afford to be distracted now, not when their fragile unity was just beginning to take shape. Taking a deep breath, Matt made a choice. "I'll be right back," he said, stepping aside. His mind raced as he contemplated the implications of this new development. Would he have to leave Riverton? What would that mean for all they had started to build? Stepping away, he knew he had to make a decision soon. But for the moment, he could feel the warmth of community wrapping around him like a quilt, the laughter, the stories, even the unearthed moments of vulnerability. As he glanced back over his shoulder, he saw Ethan drawing close to the children, a smile breaking out across his face as they laughed together. A flicker of light shone through the shadows of doubt, leaving Matt wondering if true change was blossoming right before him. But was he strong enough to hold on to what they were creating? Or would he lose his own grip as new challenges rose on the horizon? Matt stepped away from the group, his heart pounding with anxiety. The message had hinted at something serious. His brother, Dan, was never one to reach out for trivial matters. He took a deep breath, trying to ground himself in the present. The laughter from the kids echoed behind him, a reminder of what was at stake. He opened the message, each word pulling him deeper into a vortex of worry. "We need you to come home. Mom's not doing well." A wave of dread washed over him. Wasn't it just last week they had shared a meal, laughing and reminiscing about old family stories? The thought of leaving Riverton now, when everything felt so promising, made his chest tighten. Was he abandoning his own chance at a fresh start and the community he had only begun to embrace? As he stared at the screen, images of his mother's face flooded his mind. The way she smiled, her warmth, and unconditional love. But then visions of the fire pit, of Emily's bright eyes and Ethan's moment of connection, tugged at him too. They were starting to build something real, a community that was ready to sew their stories into something greater. "Matt?" The soft voice of Roberto pulled him back to the present. "You okay?" He nodded, quickly shoving the phone back into his pocket. "Yeah, just thinking." Roberto eyed him carefully, sensing the tension. "You know, the foundation you're building here isn't just about bricks and stones. It's about the people. Don't forget that." Matt felt the weight of those words. The people mattered more than anything. He forced a smile. "You're right. I just need to stay focused." As Matt rejoined the group, the sunlight started to dim, a cozy twilight settling over Riverton. The fire pit was taking shape, its structure standing like a beacon of their collective effort. Ethan was now animatedly explaining how they could decorate it, using the stones and pieces of wood they'd gathered. "Look at this," Ethan said, holding up a particularly unique stone. "We can let each person pick one for the pit. This can represent all our stories." There was something almost vulnerable in the way he spoke, as if he yearned to really belong. Matt watched the children eagerly picking out stones, their laughter reigniting in the air. The joy was palpable, coursing through the gathering. In this small patch of earth, laughter wrapped them in a circle of understanding and warmth. Was this what community felt like? Real connection? Then the phone buzzed again, harder this time. Matt squeezed his eyes shut, knowing he had to check. It was another message, this one from Dan. "Mom isn't getting better, Matt. We need you." His heart thudded in his chest. The weight of responsibility bore down heavily on him. How could he choose? In a split second, he saw himself nestled at the dining table with his family, but then he looked around the laughter, the joy, the budding relationships he had stepped into. Everyone was counting on him, weren't they? Ethan caught his eye, a flicker of concern passing over his face. Everything all right? Matt hesitated, torn between loyalty to family and the newfound ties he was forming. Yeah, just a family thing, nothing to worry about. But as he forced a smile, he felt the truth gnawing at him. Were those ties strong enough to stand against the pull of blood? The night grew cooler, the fire pit a glimmer of hope against the growing darkness. They would finish it tonight, he decided. Whatever he faced later could wait. Perhaps he wouldn't have to choose, maybe he could anchor himself in both worlds. His eyes lingered on Ethan, who now seemed to embody a pivotal moment, someone on the brink of his own transformation, just like Matt. They were both searching for connection, for meaning amidst the chaos of their lives. As the flames began to flicker and dance, illuminating the faces around him, Matt felt a sense of grounding he hadn't experienced in years. Could he really juggle both families, one born from blood and one chosen from heart? And just as he was about to voice his commitment, he glanced up. A shadow loomed in the distance, eyes just beyond the glow of their warmth. It was Jonah, the town's past resident with a reputation for stirring trouble. Whatever he wanted now, Matt knew it couldn't be anything good. He turned to the group, determination surfacing. Let's finish this pit. We've got stories to tell. But in his heart, he sensed that the real story was just beginning. What role would Jonah play in their newfound unity? Matt's heart raced as Jonah stepped into the firelight. The temperature dropped a little, as if the air itself grew uneasy with his presence. Jonah's reputation as a troublemaker echoed in Matt's mind, and it made him nervous. He could feel the energy shift among the group, defensiveness rising like a shield. Jonah licked his lips, looking from face to face, his expression unreadable. "What is going on here?" he asked, casual but with an edge that pricked at the group's excitement. "We're building a fire pit," Ethan answered brightly, trying to keep the mood up. "It's for everyone in Riverton. To share stories and connect." Jonah raised an eyebrow, a skeptical smile creeping onto his face. "A nice little community project? You think that's going to change anything?" With a frown, Matt stepped forward, feeling the need to defend not just their project but the bonds they were forming. "It's about more than just building something physical. It's about coming together." Ethan's eyes darted between them, unsure whether to interject or stay quiet. The tension felt palpable, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Matt inhaled deeply and felt the warmth of the flames, small comfort against the chill of Jonah's presence. "Together, huh?" Jonah mused, almost to himself. "And what happens when the next wave of trouble rolls in? People don't change that easily." "Maybe they do," Matt shot back, an edge of challenge in his voice. "Maybe they just need the right moment. A chance to step away from their past." The group murmured, sensing the conflict brewing. But Jonah simply chuckled, the sound hollow and sharp. "You really think that? Just wait. You'll see them for who they are." "Really?" Matt challenged, stepping closer. "And what about you? Who you are?" Jonah's gaze hardened for just a moment, revealing something fragile beneath the facade. But it was gone just as quickly, replaced by defiance. "I'm just the guy who knows how this place works." Before Matt could respond, Ethan bravely interjected. "You don't have to come here and tear us down, Jonah. We're trying to create something. Why don't you join us instead?" Surprise flickered across Jonah's face, almost humanizing him for just an instant. He seemed taken aback, caught off guard by the sheer optimism in Ethan's offer. "You really think I want anything to do with this?" "I do," Ethan replied earnestly. "Everyone here has a story, including you. We could share them. Matt watched Jonah, intrigued by the shift in his demeanor. The wall he built around himself was starting to crack, even if only slightly. Just as the faintest hint of a smile played around the corners of Jonah's mouth, he turned on his heel and laughed softly. Too good to be true, huh? He took a step back into the shadows. Good luck, kids. But remember, not everyone is as forgiving. As he melted away from view, the group was left staring into the shadows of the night, uncertainty replacing their earlier enthusiasm. Matt could feel the weight settling on him like a heavy blanket. How could they build their community when someone like Jonah could unravel it so easily? He glanced at Ethan, who was biting his lip, disappointment creeping across his face. Maybe he'll come around, Ethan said quietly, though the hope in his voice was waning. Or maybe he'll just bring trouble, Matt replied, insecurity creeping into his heart. He caught Roberto's eye, seeking reassurance, but found none, only concern. The group stood in silence, the flickering flames casting shadows that danced against the growing darkness. Let us finish the pit, Matt finally said, determination rising once more. We can't let anyone take this away from us. As they resumed their work, Matt's thoughts drifted back to his family, his mother. The weight of responsibility pressing on him, a reminder that the world wasn't just about building things, but mending them too. He wasn't just in between two worlds, he needed to find a way to bridge them both. But in this moment of unity, what hidden challenges might arise to test their strength? Matt's heart raced once more, anticipation mixing with dread. What would tomorrow bring? As he placed a final stone into the pit, he looked up to the night sky, wondering if the stars could somehow guide him through the darkness. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden hue over Riverton. For Matt, the warmth felt comforting yet fragile, like the community they were trying to build. As he made his way to the site of the fire pit, he replayed Jonah's words in his mind. Not everyone is as forgiving. Could they make this work despite people like Jonah? He picked up pace, determined to put those thoughts aside. When he arrived, the group was already buzzing with energy. Laughter echoed, and for a moment, the weight on Matt's shoulders eased. Ethan waved him over with excitement. Look! We're almost done. Matt's gaze drifted across the unfinished pit. The stones were stacked neatly, a testament to their teamwork. Hope blossomed in his heart. Maybe they could push past the doubt. Hey, good morning. Roberto called out, poking a stick into the dirt. He wore a bright smile, and Matt couldn't help but feel uplifted. As they continued to work, the atmosphere mixed with the sweet scent of morning dew and earthy soil. Each stone they placed felt like a promise, binding them together. And yet, in the back of his mind, Jonah's laughter echoed, reminding him of the potential for trouble lurking just around the corner. Mid-morning, the sound of footsteps interrupted their rhythm. Matt turned to see a familiar face, Mia, a shy girl from the community, approaching hesitantly. Her eyes darted around, as if searching for approval. Mia! Ethan shouted, instantly shifting the vibe. Come help us finish the pit. Really? She looked surprised, caught off guard by their warmth. Of course. Matt said, stepping forward. Every hand makes it better. She smiled shyly, grasping a stone, and as she joined them, Matt felt something shift. It was more than just completing a fire pit, it was about creating a safe space where everyone mattered. But just as he began to relax, Matt noticed a shadow creeping back into the gathering. Jonah appeared on the perimeter, leaning against a tree, arms crossed, his presence striking like a dark cloud. Building a cozy little campfire, are we? He called out with a snicker. Ethan's face fell, and Matt felt his heart dive. Can you just leave us alone, Jonah? He blurted out, frustration spilling over. Why would I do that? I'm just here to watch the show. Jonah leaned in, his smirk widening. Tell me, what's the plan when it all falls apart? Nothing is going to fall apart. We're stronger than you think. Matt's voice rang with defiance. The other kids started glancing nervously between each other and Jonah. Really? You think kindness will save you? Jonah laughed, but it lacked its usual bite. Maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe we just need to keep trying, Matt shot back, fueling his own resolve. He took a step closer, heart racing. What have you done to make things better? Jonah's laughter faded, surprise flashing in his eyes for just a moment. Then he shrugged, shoving his hands deeper into his pockets. I know how this place works. And when you fail, I'll be right here waiting to say I told you so. With that, Jonah turned to walk away, leaving behind a tension so thick it felt tangible. For Matt, the weight returned, pressing hard on his chest. He's just trying to get under our skin, Ethan said, right beside Matt, determination flickering back in their eyes. Let us focus on what we can change, Matt said, rallying the group. If we can create a space for one more, then we're winning. And maybe, just maybe, we can prove him wrong. But as Matt looked around at his friends, their hopeful faces were mixed with uncertainty. What if Jonah was right? What if their efforts were futile against the lingering shadows? With the sun climbing higher in the sky, a new challenge hung in the air like an unsolved puzzle. Could they really be the change Riverton needed? Suddenly, the path ahead felt more daunting than ever. As the group resumed working, laughter fading to quiet murmurs, Matt couldn't shake the feeling that their biggest test was yet to come. Would they have the strength to face not only the community skeptics, but their own fears? The day stretched on, and with it, the energy of the group shifted. They worked together in silence, each person lost in their own thoughts, yet united by the shared goal. The sun blazed overhead, relentless, but the stones they placed became markers of their determination. Matt watched Mia as she carefully tucked another stone into place. Her brow furrowed in concentration, she seemed to find solace in the rhythmic motion of her hands. It was a small thing, yet to him, it signaled growth. Maybe they really were onto something. Ethan broke the silence. You know, this could be our spot. Our place to hang out, free of all that negativity, he said, looking at the pit. Yeah, a place where we can all feel safe, Mia added, her voice barely above a whisper. Matt nodded, a soft smile playing at the corners of his lips. Exactly. This isn't just about a fire pit. It's about building something together, a community. But the moment of lightness was interrupted when Jonah returned, this time with a few of his friends trailing behind. They laughed jokingly, clearly aiming to undermine the work that Matt and his crew were doing. Jonah leaned forward, hands on his knees, eyes glinting with mischief. So, what's this? A little workshop for dreamers? How cute, he scoffed. The laughter from his friends sent a fresh wave of dread through Matt. Go away, Jonah, Ethan yelled. Can't you see we're busy? Jonah looked unbothered, his amusement growing at the group's discomfort. Busy doing what? Playing at community? You really think that can change anything here? The laughter from Jonah's friends deepened, infecting the air with disdain. Matt felt his heart pound in rhythm with the growing tension, conflicting instincts pulling at him. Should he ignore Jonah, as he had tried before? Or confront him again, risking everything they had built so far? Matt took a deep breath, forcing the anxiety down. What's it to you, Jonah? Why don't you try working together instead of tearing us down? For a brief moment, confusion flickered across Jonah's face before it morphed into anger. Because I know you're all wasting your time. Just face it, you're not going to change anything. Maybe we're not, but at least we're trying, Matt shot back, his voice steady now. That's more than I can say for you. The air around them tensed, thick with the challenge. Matt felt the eyes of his friends on him, waiting. Their expressions were a mix of early hope and lingering doubt, each voice a testimony of what they all wanted to stand for. Jonah shifted, appearing less confident now, his bravado wavering under Matt's defiance. Suddenly, there was a crack of thunder overhead, and dark clouds rolled in, creating an eerie contrast to the sunlit ground below. The group fell silent, exchanging glances, the bubbling tension transformed into something more electric and volatile. Matt's heart raced not just from adrenaline, but from fear of what the storm might bring, both in the weather and in their fragile foundation. "Are you saying it's going to rain on our parade?" Ethan attempted to lighten the mood, but it fell flat against Jonah's smirk. "Maybe it's a sign," Jonah replied, folding his arms smugly. "Signs that you're in over your heads." Matt glared, but instead of letting despair take root, a spark ignited within him. "Then let us be the storm. Let us show Riverton we won T back down." Just then, droplets of rain began to fall. The first few, tentative and light, scattered on the ground, but soon swelled into a steady downpour. It soaked through their shirts, brought laughter, uncertainty, and newfound resolve. "Let us not stop. Not now." Matt shouted over the storm, feeling the thrill of pursuing what they started. The energy shifted in more profound ways too. It felt like a cleansing. What had once seemed a threat now became an opportunity to rally together, to push beyond what Jonah had mocked them for. As they continued to work, rain slashing down, a bond forged in energy and unity, they also formed a common purpose, the idea that together they could change something permanent, and perhaps even shift Jonah's perception. But as the clouds rolled heavier and shadows loomed, one question hung in the air: was this storm merely a passing challenge, or would it reveal cracks they couldn't foresee? Matt looked around, heart pounding. The fight was far from over, and the rain was just the beginning. With every moment, he wondered if they had what it took to stand firm against both nature and the bitter forces around them. What if this was only the introduction to a much larger storm brewing ahead? The rain poured relentlessly, creating a symphony of sound as it splashed against the ground. The world around them blurred into shades of gray, but within their makeshift fire pit, a flicker of hope burned brighter. Matt could feel every droplet, every shiver, but he refused to let it douse his spirit. Even in the chaos, laughter erupted around him, his friends embracing the wetness like a badge of honor. "Come on. We're building a fort now," Mia shouted, her eyes gleaming with mischief as she splashed some water toward Ethan. Ethan ducked just in time, laughter escaping him as he tried to remain focused on stacking stones. "Nice try. But I'm on a mission here." Matt couldn't help but grin, the camaraderie sparkling like the raindrops themselves. This wasn't just about putting stones in a pit anymore. It was about everything they were building: their bonds, their hopes. He looked at Mia, her joy infectious, and realized that this was more than just a moment, it was a memory in the making. But the laughter was shadowed by Jonah's looming presence. Despite the rain, he stood outside their circle, soaked but defiant. He was still trying to cut through their celebration. "You think you'll make a difference? Look around you. This storm is just a taste of the real challenges ahead." Matt's smile faltered for a brief moment. Jonah's words clawed at his certainty, and doubt crept in. What if he was right? Were they really just playing at something they had no chance of achieving? But deep down, another truth echoed louder: they had already taken the first step. "Let them talk," Mia shouted suddenly, her voice unwavering, breaking through the doubt like a lighthouse in a storm. "We're having fun. We're working together. That's what matters." Her resolve reignited the smoldering spirit within Matt. They were here together, drenched and filled with purpose. He looked at Jonah, his eyes fierce now, ready to fight back with something more than words. "Whatever happens, we're doing it together," Matt said, his voice steady. "We're stronger than you think, Jonah." For a moment, Jonah appeared taken aback. But then he smirked, dismissing their light with a wave of his hand. "Enjoy your little game, but we'll see who's really laughing when the storm clears." With that, he turned to leave, trailing his group of friends behind him. The tension ebbed, replaced by an air of defiance. As the rain fell harder, Matt saw his friends continue to work. The echo of laughter mixed with the downpour became a powerful anthem of resistance. Each stone they placed felt heavier, not with the burden of what Jonah had said, but with the promise of what they were creating. There was weight in their unity. They were forging not just a pit, but a shelter against the storm outside, both literal and metaphorical. "Hey, everybody!" Ethan called out, raising a stone high above his head. "Let us make this a solid wall against whatever he throws at us." The group cheered, rallying behind him, and as they stacked the stones, Matt could feel their collective heartbeats synchronize with the rhythm of the rain. They were no longer just trying to create a physical space, they were building strength, resilience, togetherness. And then, as the storm raged overhead, the world seemed to shift. A sudden flash of lightning illuminated the darkened sky, a reminder of nature's unpredictable fury. The moment hung heavy in the air, a mix of fear and exhilaration. Matt's heart raced with the realization that storms, much like life's challenges, could either tear them apart or bring them closer together. But as the rain pounded down, he couldn't shake the feeling that this battle had only just begun. He turned to his friends, determination in his eyes. "We're in this together. Together we stand, no matter what happens next." As the thunder rolled more fiercely, a question loomed: what was the storm still hiding? And as the group dug deeper into their task, each of them felt the weight of uncertainty mingled with fierce determination, a brewing energy that hinted at challenges even greater than they had already faced. The heart of Riverton was stirring, and so were they. What would come from the chaos, and could they withstand it? The storm began to settle, shifting from frantic torrents to a soft drizzle. The air felt charged, heavy with possibility. Matt stood with his friends, looking at the partially finished fire pit framed by their hard work and laughter. It felt like stepping into a new chapter, where hope began to overshadow adversity. "Look at that!" Mia squealed, pointing to the stone garland they had started around the pit, each stone a testament to their strength and unity. Laughter began to bubble back up as they exchanged stories about the moments that led them here. But as the clouds parted, revealing a brilliant sunset, Matt could see Jonah lingering at the edge of their gathering, still watching. A part of him wanted to dismiss him, but another part felt a pull of concern. "Hey!" Matt called out, stepping toward Jonah. The group fell silent, all eyes on him. "What do you want?" Jonah replied, his tone guarded, but beneath the facade, Matt sensed a flicker of something like curiosity. "I want you to join us. There's room for everyone in this new Riverton," he said, heart racing. "We need all hands on deck. It's about community, not division. Don't you want to be part of something good?" Jonah's posture shifted. He hesitated, looking at the rocky gathering that had taken place around the pit, the laughter, the teamwork. "Why would I want to be part of a project that's going to collapse?" "Because sometimes, it's not about the outcome. It's about the journey and the people you share it with," Matt replied, feeling the genuine warmth of his words. "That's easy to say when you're already happy and comfortable," Jonah mumbled. The hurt was palpable, a gaping wound that echoed across their history. "Maybe," Matt countered, "but I've felt pain too. I know what it's like to lose hope. Believe me, if we can pull this community together, we can lift one another higher than anyone thinks is possible." With a beat of silence, something shifted in Jonah's gaze. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Was it the charm of vulnerability starting to triumph over bravado? "Fine. I'll help," Jonah said, his voice softer but filled with defiance. "But don't expect me to stand around singing songs about unity with you." A collective cheer erupted from the group. "Every person here matters, even you," Ethan added, smiling broadly. As Jonah stepped closer, Matt felt a ripple of release wash over him. The bridge was starting to form, even between jagged pasts. "Let us get back to work," Matt encouraged, as everyone resumed their tasks. The laughter returned, higher now, enveloping them in the sanctuary they were building together. Jonah picked up a stone, and while duty felt heavy, it was a step toward healing, the first brick toward rebuilding a shared future. The sun dipped low, leaving behind an explosion of oranges and purples, casting a warm glow over the group. The fire pit started to take shape, each stone cementing their stories tightly together, piercing through any remaining shadows of doubt. In that moment, as the sun kissed the earth goodnight, Matt realized something vital. This wasn't just about overcoming a storm or building a fire pit. It was about crafting a future, brick by brick, together. The invisible thread that tied them was becoming a sturdy rope, woven from courage, laughter, and trust. And all those scattered pieces, each childhood laugh, every moment of vulnerability, and all the connections they were taking form. With every laugh shared and stone set in place, Matt felt lighter, as if scaling down the weight pressing on him and finally connecting with the essence of family, not just blood-related, but a chosen one, born from compassion and resilience. And as the last light faded, silhouettes of hands over hands stacked stones, Matt knew they would weather whatever storm came next. Together, Riverton was rising, a community crafted from hope, love, and the realization that through kindness, even the coldest hearts could thaw. As they stood before their completed fire pit, flames licking up towards a star-speckled sky, a wave of warmth filled Matt's heart. He had entrusted his fears, and in turn, they had poured back out joy and laughter, igniting something powerful. They had built more than a fire pit, they crafted a safe haven against the chaos of life, and the new dawn promised they'd keep shining brighter. With every glance exchanged, every shared smile, the future was beginning to glow. And this transformation was only the start. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories in this heartwarming journey. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and show your support for Riverton. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this incredible transformation of community and resilience. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this story of hope. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the impact of your support.